it's Linda from Brant Naz. Welcome to our fourth rock painting video. This time we're going to be painting a rock to celebrate Mother's Day. So throughout the video we're going to be cutting in and out to listen to a few people talk about how they feel about their own mothers and how they feel themselves about being a mother.
Happy Mother's Day to each of you who are a mother and to each of you who are celebrating your mother, whether she is still with you or not. My mom, pictured here with my brothers and I, showed me what it's like to be a loving wife and mother through good times as well as through hard times. Family and friends have always been important to her. My mom is a creative woman who enjoys singing and playing the piano for her church, knitting and writing poetry, just to name a few of the things she enjoys. Growing up, she was always available to give wisdom, guidance, spend time with my friends and I, or just to chat. Even though most of my adult life I've lived in a different province and then in 2 different countries than her, she's always been available to chat and catch up by phone and video calls at least once a week, but many times every single day and sometimes more than once a day. I know she's prayed for our family often and has supported us in so many ways. My mom is loving and kind, fair, a great teacher, and always willing to help others. She's also willing to tackle new things, which has been especially evident this past year, as she's had to adapt to new things since my dad's passing, who, by the way, was the love of her life, second only to God. And with the shelter-at-home restrictions, she's had to learn to use the computer, become more proficient with her iPad and social media, even teaching me a few things. This year, as has been the case for many years, I was not able to celebrate in person with my mom for Mother's Day, but I am so thankful to God for giving me the best mom. Happy Mother's Day, Mom. I love you.
The rock that we're going to be painting is this rock. I hope you can see it well. I'm going to put a little bit more light on here. So this is the rock we're going to be working on. As you can see, it just says Mom and has some design around it just to spruce it up a little bit. Okay, so let's get started. Yeah, as you can see, it's a plain rock. It doesn't have any base coat on it at all. So we've got to be careful that we don't make too many mistakes on this, because you can't erase and paint it over with plain rock paint. There is no such thing. So we're going to start just by drawing the letters in here. And I generally start in the middle. And the reason that I do that is because you can get it spaced out a little bit better if you start in the middle. I have a tendency, if I don't start with the middle letter, to get too far over to the right, and that's not a good thing. Okay. So we've got the word Mom in there now. So now all we're going to do is start to draw some of the design on here and get that placed in there. I'm going to change up this design just a little bit. And really what we're doing is just filling in some of the spaces here, just to get a little bit of color in here. And we're going to bring a few leaves down. We're going to do a little heart over here at the side. Maybe another leaf coming in here. And then all we're going to do in the spots that are a little bit open is just put some little circles just to fill in these spots here, so we don't have a lot of uncolored areas. Okay, so we've got our basic design down. Now what we're going to be doing is going over the word mom with a black paint pen. And before you use your paint pens, remember you have to shake them up really well to get that ball bearing moving around and shaking up, stirring up the paint that's inside the pen. And also, if you have a piece of paper, just sort of dot the marker and make sure that the ink is flowing. That's not flowing quite as well as it should be yet, so we're going to mix it up a little bit more. Well, that's a little bit better. I think maybe this paint pen is on its last legs, but let's try this anyway, okay? So we're going to just go over the lettering on here.
My mom. This is my favorite picture of my mom, and her hair's not done. She has a pink peppermint in her right cheek, and that's my mom. Pretty much a casual kind of woman. My mom was born in 1913, and you can imagine in her lifetime 2 world wars, and they grew up in Holland and came here in 1953 with 8 kids. And throughout all of that, through wars and floods and anything that life could throw at them, my mom would always say, the sun rises and the sun sets. And so God is still in his heaven. A woman of few words, but you were left to kind of figure that out for yourself. She was a woman of great faith. The thing that I liked best about being my mom's daughter was how I was the last one, and she would spend time with me. She would take time away from her housework to sit and have milk and cookies with me during romper room time, and she would always take some time in her day to spend time with me. And that is what memories are made of, and that's how I remember my mom the best. Thanks.
So I'm still just finishing off here some of the lettering. There. So the next step is to thicken some of the areas of the lettering because we want it to stand out nice and bold. And when we make the letters thick, we generally only do that on the downstrokes. That's basically the same way that calligraphy works. It's the downstrokes that are the thicker parts of the rock. I've made that one a little thicker, and I probably shouldn't have, but we'll see how it turns out. I'm going to thicken this up a little bit too. Okay, so bring this around a bit, make that a little bit thicker, and then on this downstroke here, this one, and the last one. Okay, and then I'm just going to go in and add a little bit of somewhat of a shading in there. So we're going to put a line in here, and we're going to bring a line in here, and we've got one in the M there. Okay, so the next step that we're going to be taking is we are going to start to put some color in the rock. So I'm going to start with a blue, and I'm going to do these curly pieces here. I'm going to outline in blue, or fill in blue rather. Okay, I think what I'm going to do first is I'm going to just add another shape in there, maybe a little bit thicker. And then we'll fill that in with another color in there as well. Okay, and it doesn't matter, it doesn't have to be perfect because we can fill that in. And the nice thing about these paint pens is that they're actually paint. So you can paint over an area that you've already painted, just similar to what you can do with acrylic paints and a brush. I actually prefer working with paints and a brush because I think when you're blending things, it's a little bit easier with paints and a brush. Or a sponge, or I use, for blending, my favorite thing to use is an eyeshadow brush from the dollar store. I find it's one of the best tools to blend with.
Mamas are the best. They give so much of themselves to raising their children. I'm happy that my mother is very much a part of our lives. I just grateful that I was a mother myself, and so thankful to be a grandmother as well. Grandkids are just wonderful, and I wish every mother out there today a happy Mother's Day. God bless.
Okay, we're going to be working on another color now. So I've finished all the blue sections in there. And we may end up painting over some of the sections or adding more detail into the color that's already existing on there. But we're going to add a little bit of yellow now. And I can tell you a little bit about my mom. My mom, I would describe my mom as being a very gentle soul. My mom was a bit of a loner, just like I am. She liked to be at home, just like I do. And she didn't have a lot of friends. She had some very close friends. But my mom was so nice that everybody that met her really liked her. She lived in East Ward North in a little wartime house. And she had some lovely neighbors that would come over and check on her all the time. I was living in Hamilton at the time, and so she had neighbors that would come over and make sure she was okay. And they all did that because she was so nice. She used to go out in the summertime with Mr. Freezes and give them to all the neighborhood kids in the summer. And even the kids would go over and visit her, because they liked talking to her. She was a really neat lady. And then she moved in with me when she got to the point where she couldn't live on her own anymore. I sold my house in Hamilton and moved to Brantford. I was still working, commuting back and forth to Hamilton, and it was no surprise to me that my mom developed the same kind of relationship with the neighbors at the new house. They would come over and check on her the same way. So she was very easy to get along with and didn't complain. My mom was funny in some ways. She could handle the big stressors in life very, very easily, but the little things really bothered her. She hated thunderstorms. They really affected her, but she could handle the major crises in life very well. My father died when I was 13 years old, and my mom had no education and had to go out and get a job with very little experience other than a part-time cleaning job. So she didn't have an easy life. She worked in a factory from the time that my dad died until she was 63 years old. So years and years and years of working in a factory, in a shipping and receiving. So it was tough. It was tough work. But my mom did it. My mom never complained about anything. She just got up and did what she needed to do in order to provide for my sister and I. So, and even when we were little, she would do things like spend time with us. She would make Barbie doll clothes for us. And if you're a sewer, you know how tedious it is to sew very, very tiny things. But my mom would take the time and make some Barbie doll clothes for us. We didn't have very much money, but my mom would spend time and make some Barbie doll clothes for us so we had something to play with. She was a great mom.
Let me tell you about my mom. She was standing at a bus stop one day, and this blind lady was standing beside her, and this lady had just moved into a new apartment, and she didn't have a kitchen table. She was looking for one. It broke my mom's heart that she didn't have a kitchen table, and wouldn't you know it, the next day I found myself taking her kitchen table to this lady. I'll never forget the look on her face. The woman couldn't see, but with her hand she felt the top of the table, and it was a beautiful solid maple table. That was my mom. She'd give you the shirt off her back. Now, if I was to tell you that she was the best mom in the world, she wouldn't like that at all. But she'd be humbled by the fact that she would be considered amongst the best in the world, because after all, aren't all our moms the best? Happy Mother's Day, everyone.
Okay, I'm going to go over this heart here. I'm going to make the heart red because that's a red heart for our mums. And I can tell you a little bit about being a mum. I was a very young mum. I turned 20 the day before my daughter was born. My daughter, who is now 41, which is really, really hard for me to believe, is the best mum I have ever seen in my entire life. She is so amazing with my grandson. She plays with him and teaches him, and she's just absolutely amazing. And I often think to myself, boy, if I could have been half the mum that she is with my grandson, that would have been just so amazing. I was a single mum, attending university from the time Lisa was 3 years old until she was almost 8. So, you know, my time was stretched pretty thin. We still did some things together. We still did gymnastic lessons and that kind of thing, and played. But boy, oh boy, I was nowhere near the mum she is with my grandson. And I look at him and I think, boy, you are so lucky, kid, that you've got such a fantastic mum. And my daughter's partner is amazing. So together, they really provide such a great life for Jackson. Okay, these pens are not quite cooperating as well as I would like them to, but we're going to forge ahead. So I'm going to do like a little teardrops inside here. The good thing about these Posca pens is that they do dry relatively quickly. If I had painted the yellow with acrylic paint and a brush, it wouldn't be ready to color over now. But because of the fact that we've used these acrylic paint pens, we're able to do it relatively quickly. Okay, and we'll go in here and add a few more. A little bit more color in there, and let's do this this heart at the side. This is the other good thing about using paint pens. It's very, very difficult to pick up a rock like this using a brush and acrylic paints. It's almost impossible to do. So, and the nice thing about these paint pens is that if you're a rock painting addict, you can take a rock and a set of paint pens with you and color while you're waiting at the dentist's office or anything like that. And believe it or not, I do know people that do that. Anyway, okay, I'm going to switch to green now, and I'm going to do some of the leaves. So while I'm doing that, we will listen to Denise.
Happy Mother's Day, moms. Just wanted to thank the women who have been a great influence and mother figures in my life, as well as to my mums. I've been blessed to have a number of women who've acted as role models and mothers in my life, and I just want to say thank you. Thank you for your influence and your impact in my life, for the time you invested in us as children and as adults. I also want to say it's been a blessing to be a mom to my children and to other people's children sometimes too, understanding that not all of us have mums in the natural sense, but we can have women of influence in our lives that really impact us that way. And so happy Mother's Day to everybody. For those of you who this is a painful time, I ask for God's peace on you and help for you at this time. I know it's not easy for everyone, and have a great day.
Okay, so we've added in a little bit of green there just to give it a bit of a pop. And so now I think what we're going to do is we're going to go with some pink. I'm going to add some pink in here to liven it up a bit.
Hi, my name's Julie, and I have the best mom in the world. She is very honest. She has taught me ever since I was a kid to be very kind, respectful, and to be polite, and I've always followed those rules. She has a great sense of humor. We have the exact same sense of humor, so I can watch all the same movies and read all the same jokes, and we both can laugh and laugh and laugh about it. Sometimes people think that we're a little bit too much, but that's okay between me and my mom. She's always been very supportive of me no matter what I've chose for hobbies, interests, jobs, everything like that. She hasn't always agreed, but she's always supported. She checks in with my family on a regular basis. I love shopping with her and going on day trips, and she's one of the first people I will call, even more than some friends, just because she is one of my best friends. She always makes us dinner as adults. It's really helpful and not expected, but ever since especially since I had my 1-year-old son, she will call us last minute and say, "Hey, I made some dinner for you," and she calls it the boring chicken dinner. And we tell her every time, if you ate at our house every week, you'd know that that's our best dinner. She is like the best grandma in the world. She tells me multiple times a day how much she loves him. And when she is able to see him, she just cuddles and plays and makes him laugh. And she's definitely the best grandma. What it's like to be a mom. Well, I only have one child that took me 6 years to have, but he brings me purpose. He brings me lots and lots of joy every day. He even brings me joy just by watching my mom and dad and my family get joy from him. So, yeah, I totally understand now when my mom used to tell me, and still does, you feel what your kids feel. You feel their pain, you feel their joy. Like, I totally get what she's saying now. And he's one of the best loves of my life.
Okay, so I've moved along here and got a little more colored in. The last step really to this rock, well, second to last step actually, is just outlining all of the bright colors to really make the rock stand out a little bit more. So we're going to go through, and I'm going to put a little line in the middle of these leaves, because what I really want to do is go back and add a little bit of dark green in the leaves as well. So we're just outlining. A little bit difficult to do to make sure we get the right camera angle here.
So what does being a mom mean to me? Well, being a mom means experiencing a roller coaster of emotions that you never knew existed. It's about sacrifice and sleepless nights. It's worrying constantly that you won't be able to fix your child's problems or to protect them from pain or heartbreak. At times, it's physically and emotionally draining. But being a mom is also about being a teacher and a coach and a cheerleader. It's about being a protector and a shoulder to cry on. It's about, constant self-reflection and, every day trying to be a better version of yourself so that you can be the best possible role model to your child. Being a mom is this connection you have to another human being that means unconditional love even before they're born, and nothing is expected or owed in return. It's just selfless love. It's an overwhelming sense of pride when you see your child succeed at something, and it makes you so happy you want to cry. But I think most of all, being a mom is hearing the words, "I love you, Mommy," and knowing that you are the most luckiest person in the world. That's what being a mom means to me.
I'm having a hard time drawing and holding on to this rock as well, but okay. So basically that shows you how adding the black outline around a rock really makes it pop and come alive a little bit. The other thing that I'm going to do, just to finish this rock off and give it just a little bit more of an appeal, is, well, two things actually. The first thing I'm going to do is add some dark green into the leaves. And I'm going to do that just by drawing some lines down on one side only. Oh, forgot to put my line in there. There, so one more over here. Oh, two more over here. Okay, and the last thing, I'm just going to add some white dots in these, some of these colored areas. And you can see this too also makes it pop a little more with the white in there. And then we can go around in here and add some white dots along here. And there you have it. We're finished our rock. So just a little trinket, I guess, to gift to mom. If you want to paint this. Oops, got a little dot there. Okay. All right. So thank you very much for joining us. I hope you will join us for our next rock painting video. Keep taking a look at our Facebook page, Brant Naz, and you'll see all of the events that we have posted. So looking forward to seeing you again at our next rock painting video. Happy Mother's Day to everyone. Please stay safe and God bless.